everybody. So we are starting this channel about blockchain with some really good pioneers and disruptors in the new technology space. My name is Stefania, and I would like to start with a quick introduction of all our panelists and why they think blockchain is so important, is much more important now than ever. If maybe each panelist can just say that in a couple of sentences, that would be great. Slava, do you want to start?
Oh, thank you very much for the introduction, Stefania. Yes, so I work for a company called Cointraffic, which is a blockchain advertising agency. So we don't implement blockchain ourselves, but we help companies advertise their blockchain and crypto-related projects, which I think is quite important nowadays, taking into account that Google and Facebook still have certain restrictions and the projects just need to go out there. In my opinion, like blockchain is important now, but it has a bit of a negative connotation at the moment. So people think it's a bit of a scam or something, and they think blockchain, crypto tokens are the same. And I'd like to discuss it with you today, guys, and share my thoughts why it's not the case. And yeah, just take some questions. So back to you, Stefania.
Okay, thank you so much, Slava. Dean, where are you calling from and what your company does?
Hi, Stefania. Hi, everyone. I'm from Germany, but at the moment I'm based in Belgrade in Serbia. With one team developing some blockchain platform for some maritime shipping company from Italia. From my background, I have more than 25 years, I can say experience or something like that, in IT and software development, with a focus not only in the development, but also in the research and the promotion of the new technologies. From that reason, or for this reason, more than 7 years ago, I dedicated blockchain technology as an innovation, as a segment in all industry areas, not only for the financial or a Bitcoin as it started in the public. This was especially interesting because I'm preoccupied with software technologies that I deal with the processing with a large amount of data. And I have seen blockchain from the very beginning as a link that can make up for many shortcomings in the data exchange process. My daily job is partially academic, based on lectures, promotion of innovations, and partly as a consultant and advisor in the implementation of blockchain technology in various processes and industries. I can say I can pay special attention to the analysis of business models and directing the client how and what extent they can improve their business by applying blockchain technology. Actually,
that's a very important point.
That's in a few words.
That's a very important point. Ricky.
Yes, I found it that's very important in the last few years because dealing with so many enterprises, they saw that probably blockchain itself could solve all of those problems they have inside their business processes and models. Not all business processes could be implemented inside the blockchain, or vice versa. Blockchain could not be a solver for most of the problems in the business processes. Therefore, is need to make a bridge between business modeling and normal processing and the blockchain technology in the background.
Yeah, that's a point that we are going to come back later. Very good one. Let's move on. Ricky Brooker from Tradestreet from Arizona, right?
Yes. So I'm Ricky Booker. I'm from Arizona. Been into the digital crypto space and blockchain space since 2013. I'm very excited to be in this now, considering that the rise of blockchain and how the whole financial and digital aspect is going. Started Tradestreet about 2 years ago. And we're basically a digital exchange platform for the foreign exchange market. So that's basically one thing that we wanted to do as far as with me and my team we want to basically build an ecosystem and a network, seeing that and seeing the growth of Forex as well. I was a Forex trader for about 8 years professionally. So to be able to build a blockchain platform in this manner is very exciting for me and my team. Like I say, it's a great time for the space. And I'm really excited to be on this call today and on this conference today to talk about it.
Yeah, and you can tell us a lot about how trading is changing and also, you know, digital assets. And I've got lots of things that I would like you to answer. So let's move on to our last panelist, Managing Director of AWEpay, right? Is that correct, Casey?
AWEpay, yeah.
AWEpay.
Yeah, it's short for awesome, I guess. So yeah, AWEpay as a company, I started this company about 9 years ago. Personally, I've been in payments and finance for the last 15 years, primarily catering to merchants in the high risk to medium risk categories and throughout the whole world. So I think I came across Bitcoin in 2014, and upon reading the white paper, I realized that it's going to eventually become the future of payments. So what we provide to our merchants are like traditional Visa, MasterCard payments, out payments predominantly in Asia. So we allow our merchants to accept deposits and perform withdrawals in Asia, as well as crypto now, realizing that this is a definite important development in payments. So I had to get into the space a couple of years ago.
Okay. Thank you so much. So let's kick off with Dean. Blockchain, as you said, has been kind of like a buzzword, and every basically business thought they should implement it. But as you said, it's not solving all the problem. So maybe can you explain what are the blockchain advantages for business and what problem it solves?
Yeah. From my perspective, I think that there have been so many words, presentations, and various ways of explaining that what blockchain is, whether blockchain is only related to cryptocurrencies or some finance economic processes or transactions in general, whether if it is different from distributed ledger technology, including so many other paradigms, from first introduce blockchain, who introduces them, and so on. It was in the last few years, but today maybe we can talk about a kind of stable growth of implementation of a blockchain technology in the background from industry and different areas from market. Also, according to some research from survey from MIT, from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, from end of the last year, blockchain will play a role of 21% of global economic affairs. Why we are always going back with technology and economic, from the first hype for the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency and implementing something as a new technology in the processes. This is only one indicator of growth because the economy only shows and said to be as increasable in the implication in other areas of industry, and the economy without industry cannot exist, and vice versa. Also, some related industries already know the disruptive potential of the blockchain technology and its applications. Some hype does not exist anymore. It's somehow a real world examples and showcases that we can merge today. From more than one sources, the main advantages of blockchain is storing data into the decentral and immutable way without a central authority, with the accompanying with the advantages of increased transparency and reducing transactional costs in overall process. There are just a few things that are some few points. They make a mixture of different industries and different areas in the background. However, I would like to draw attention again to what is behind all processes. All transactions are actually the data. The data are the building blocks of all transactions, and later of what needs to be created or created into the new value at the end of the chain. We have two different topics. Data as the beginning, and the data in the transaction process, and the end, a new value that produced after the data is transacted. As the new value is presented in many processes, as the value of the crypto or a digital currency entity, or of course, the economy remains one main segment where the advantages blockchain is reflected. If you want to look a deeper implementation of technology, then we come to the element that connects industry, production, transportation, healthcare, and so on and so on. This raises the question of what problems blockchain solve. We came to the main core of the question. I would like to emphasize, blockchain itself is not the solution to any problem as a standalone technology itself. It is a solution in constellation with other technologies, with as a helping tool, as something that can provide a solution together with different technologies itself. I can just list several problems from a real world and an environment where the implementation of blockchain can be related to the factor that lead to the solution as a specific business problems. Something like that, like global trade regulation, proof of identity and identity theft, property rights and real estate, managing and protecting patient data in the healthcare organizations, accountability issues with traditional contracts and agreements, supply chain management, cross-border payment, so many of them. There are so many fields and areas then where the blockchain can be fit and fill the gap between some instances. So many obstacles are there. The infrastructure is still in the evolving of data transfer, and creating a new value, as I said, is still in the question about solving problems.
Okay, Dean, thank you so much. And Slava, do you want maybe to expand a little bit on how blockchain has developed over the last years? Because when we were together at the conference in London 2-3 years ago, you know, there was a vision about blockchain, and now, as Dean said, is more mature and is more settled, right? How do you see, what do you see as happen and where we are at the moment?
Yes, thank you, Stefania. Dean, a great introduction. I actually agree with almost every single point. And from what we see from marketing perspective, right? So companies that are somehow involved in blockchain technology or want to sell their services or products, we can really see that in the past year, there are more and more projects that are trying to link real life application and blockchain, right? And those companies, in my opinion, are mostly struggling, to be honest. So there isn't much money to be made quickly, as it used to be with the hype, you know, when people release tokens, some arbitrage going on. And I think the, let's say, blockchain community is not really mature, and very few people think about it as a technology where you really have to put in some work. If we'd probably compare it to Forex markets, right? And Ricky can either prove me wrong or not. And say, I know 20 years ago when everything started, it was probably something similar to what blockchain is now. There was no regulation. The tools weren't that sophisticated. While at this stage, let's say Forex companies, they have like the technology is pretty much mature, you know, high frequency trading, things like that, data transfer, and there are professionals who actually make the difference. And I believe that one of the issues is that people who went into blockchain, say 2-3 years ago, most of them were just opportunists, and there are very few hardworking people and talent. And that is one of the main concerns. And talent costs a lot of money. And what I see is that a lot of projects don't make the cut. to actually implement their solutions to real world, because there are a lot of negotiations going on. People are not really interested in spending time negotiating with corporates, and that takes time and resource. And whenever I hear a project and that has some blockchain in it, it means that the development cost is super expensive. And I think what is stopping widespread adoption is that we don't have enough talent. And if even when you look at the, say, job ads, right? Whenever a person claims to have some blockchain experience, they just charge 40% more, while they don't really have any knowledge of how to do things properly and how to implement blockchain into real life and actually add value in the chain and to the processes. So in my opinion, where blockchain is going now is towards linking off-chain and on-chain transactions or processes. For instance, even if we talk about economic aspects, if there are some traders or institutionals, they need to do a lot of reporting, and that goes through Google Sheets or something that, or I don't know, Excel sheets that goes into, let's say, their accountancy department and things like that. This is an area which is not really explored at the moment, and I think we need to look at automation and making blockchain actually appealing to users, because at the moment, my strong opinion is that very few applications are appealing to real companies, right? So if they weigh the risk of not having the professionals on one hand side, increased cost, I don't know, they have a lot of people who are used to old processes that don't involve blockchain, right? You need to do all the data migrations and things like that. And then you also have the negative marketing connotation. Whenever somebody speaks about blockchain or crypto, it can become challenging, actually. I'd like to share a very brief story. So when I was joining Cointraffic, 3 years ago or something, I told my mom, Mom, I'm joining Cointraffic. Can you please send over to this, some documents to this company? And everything is done online and digitally in Estonia, right? And then she said, oh, are you sure? This company is like coin and it has some coin in it. It's not great. I read the news. It's all scam. Can you work for those guys? And I think that the perception is still there, and it's very challenging to actually change it, and it costs a lot of money to change it long term. Brand perception is important, and because nobody owns, let's say, the blockchain brand, if we compare it to, I don't know, PHP programming language, or I know WordPress or some CMS, nobody owns it. It's like a collective thing. It becomes extremely difficult to adopt it.
Yeah, but then I think that point is true. I think there is some still misconception there, but then you see big companies such as ABM, for example, they are massively implementing blockchain in different aspects, from food tracking to provenance to transactions. And so, I think it's kind of slowly getting implemented, but for the right use cases, as you mentioned, and also as Dean mentioned. Maybe, Ricky, talking about blockchain and the financial markets, which is kind of a very interesting topic, and is also an area where blockchain implementation can add a lot, particularly because of the transfer of data, and also the security aspect as well. Do you want maybe to expand a little bit on that and also tell us a little bit more about Tradestreet?
Sure. So looking at basically the current model, why blockchain is so important in finances, and one thing that intrigued me the most was looking into like I said, I started out as a Forex trader. So basically seeing a lot of how systems were kind of manipulated, and a lot of times in the Forex market, a lot of systems was kind of rigged. It made it kind of difficult a lot for retail traders. And a lot of retail traders don't understand that it's if you're trading, you're kind of at the bottom of that totem pole. While kind of like the big banks and the big companies they're able to kind of move the markets. without a lot of people's whereabouts. So when you look at implementing blockchain into that system, it makes it a lot more transparent. It makes it like more of a trusting system for all parties involved, not just for big banks or big companies, but also for like retail traders. And it's like I say, it's open to where everybody can basically see every transaction of what is going on. And I think that's really one of the most important things in the beauties of bringing blockchain into the financial world, because beforehand you kind of there's no way that an average person could see what is going on behind the door. But having blockchain, like I say, that brings more transparency and more awareness to where everybody can see what's going on. Like I said, on a digital distributed ledger and so forth. And that's the same thing with Tradestreet. Tradestreet was basically created because, like I say, being in Forex and understanding how the whole system basically is set up and how markets are able to kind of manipulate markets without anybody's concern. That's one reason why I wanted to create Tradestreet, is to basically have an exchange platform that, users are still able to see day to day of every single transaction that's going on. It's on, open source ledger, and everybody can, there's no going behind that system or that structure, and that everything is pretty much on chain, and there's no way that you can kind of manipulate that system. And I think that's the one biggest takeaway from blockchain adding it to the financial worlds, because it, like I said, it kind of takes systems that's broken and fixing them in a sense. Like I said, there's still a lot of things that need to be proven within the blockchain space when it comes down to finances. Even in the crypto side, there's still, ways to manipulate within blockchain and crypto. And it's I feel right now it's kind of like it's so early on, but it's still, blockchain is becoming more I feel mainstream adapted the more and more people starting to actually learn about it and get involved with it, especially people who's investors, as they've been involved in the space for so long, and you see how blockchain can actually help this space by, like I say, making it to where everybody's on an open platform, everybody can see every single thing that's going on. Like I say, that brings the transparency, it brings more liquidity, and it also makes it more scalable. And like I say, with Tradestreet, that's like the main target and our main goal of what we're trying to do is basically build an ecosystem that is open for basically all parties, all investors. And like I say, making it to where trading and investing is more of it's more of a transparent thing. It's no hidden agenda behind the scenes. And blockchain actually allows that. Blockchain actually allows it to be kind of like a rule in play, if I would say, and makes it more acceptable for a lot of investors today.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I want to come back. Ricky? Yeah, and I want to come back also to you about digital assets and also, the challenges that you are facing and blockchain-based companies are facing when they have to kind of take over the whole system. But let's move now to Casey, because you are doing with payments. Payments is one of the biggest industry that is up for disruption with blockchain. So do you maybe want to give an overall of how blockchain has disrupted the payment system, and also something important, make a difference between cryptocurrency and blockchain? Even if it's something that people should know, I think, it would be good to kind of clarify where the two things stand.
Sure. So where do I start? So obviously, as a payments company, the first thing that we focus on is helping our merchants accept payments and perform withdrawals. And then, of course, the settlement part is the most important. Now, I've been in payments for 15 years. So the one trend that has been steadily very obvious to someone in international payments is that banking is getting harder and harder and harder and harder. The regulations, the compliance is just going to get more difficult as time goes by. So how crypto or blockchain is, how we are applying it to our clients is that we offer them the option of getting settlements in cryptocurrency, whether it's Bitcoin or USDT or something else that they prefer. So that is a real world situation that it's currently being used by many first tier and second tier merchants that we work with. Predominantly, we work with merchants in the gaming industry, the forex industry, and the cryptocurrency industry. And what we've seen and what I've seen is that um, there's no easier way in terms of sending money across from one side of the planet to the other. Uh, Using cryptocurrency or blockchain in comparison to the regular bank transfer. So what we have done as a payments company to add further value to our merchants is that we've provided a cryptocurrency exchange for them for the purpose of settlements.
Okay, that's really interesting. So let's talk about the challenges that blockchain businesses are facing. Maybe let's go back to Ricky. Ricky, what are the challenges that you face when you started your company, and what is the challenge that you are facing now?
I feel the one of my biggest challenges in the beginning was seeking the regulation. I feel like regulation was kind of the biggest challenge in the beginning because blockchain is so new, and when you're presenting something that a lot of people don't understand, I feel that brings tremendous amounts of challenges because you understand how this system can help and how this system could be a great use case for industry, but I feel that a lot of people still stuck with the way that the current flow of things already exist. And some people, is not all, but I feel that, you have different countries that actually accept crypto and also accept blockchain, who's actually adopting it very fast, putting it into a lot of their education and so forth, because they understand how valuable that this technology is going to be. But when you have other countries who's still kind of slow catching up, I feel that was a challenge in the beginning, is trying to seek the right regulation. Even here in the U.S., it was a very difficult challenge to try to get regulation here, to basically be able to do this system, because when you're talking about blockchain and you're talking about crypto, that automatically raises a red flag with regulators and governments and things like that. So in the beginning, I feel like that was, and then we found a solution to having a home to basically start this project. But I feel now the current issue is more so now with me and my team. The current issue is basically finding the more mass adoption. Like I said, getting more people to understand how this system actually benefits better than the current brokers or financial industries that's currently there. That's the challenge. I feel that it's trying to basically take people who's used to one system and method of way, and trying to get them to convert over into blockchain, and understanding why blockchain is more beneficial just in general. So I feel that right now that's more of the challenge that I'm facing, is trying to get more people to understand why Tradestreet is more beneficial than, say, like a eToro or something like that. This is, like I say, we're providing, by allowing blockchain, is providing more security, like I say, more transparency, more liquidity, more scalability. And I feel like that's just more of the challenge, because as people slowly trying to understand blockchain, I feel like it's just timing. Just like with Bitcoin, I felt Bitcoin is now, since everything's going with the global pandemic, I feel now Bitcoin is starting to get more accepted, and people starting to really take a look into Bitcoin, especially right now. So as people's taking more look into Bitcoin, I feel it will gravitate them also into understanding reasons how Bitcoin work, which leads into blockchain. And then I feel blockchain will become more mass adapted. And I feel like that's just the more challenge I'm facing today.
Yeah. I think you mentioned a good point about regulation, and particularly if we are talking about investments, I think that, you know, is an industry that is regulated, and, you know, it's not easy to kind of disrupt with a new technology that can open so many opportunities, and particularly about transparency. So that is definitely an area that is developing. And maybe, Slava, do you have anything to add on that? And which one you see being the main challenges? Slava?
Yes, sorry, I was muted. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I think the main challenge still remains the same: is the talent. As Ricky mentioned, you know, to people to adapt certain technology, there should be people who actually already use it, right? So the companies should create a drive for using something, same as Google or Facebook have done multiple times in the past with their different products, right? And then I think it's also about funding, right? So again, with this negative marketing buzz, it's very challenging to get the companies up and running if you don't have any money. And on the mass adoption scale, I think again, it is not only regulation but also from a marketing side, right? So Facebook and crypto and Google just don't really allow crypto ads, right? And that is actually preventing mass adoption, in my opinion. So, and the challenge for companies like Tradestreet, I assume, against, let's say, eToro, is that eToro is mostly classic effects that went into crypto. So they're able to use all advertising tools available out there, right? Programmatic advertising, display, search on Facebook, on Google, while crypto companies, they don't have that luxury. And that is a huge issue. I understand that there are risks allowing, you know, certain companies to advertise crypto because of scams and things like that. But in my opinion, the marketing technology sector should actually help drive adoption, and that's going to drive retail usage for sure. Because if people see ads, if people can read more, if they can watch videos on YouTube about crypto, demystifying them, you know, certain aspects, that is definitely going to help for sure. In my opinion, you know, there's always going to be a risk of scammy projects for sure, and it's just a risk that we have to take. Probably we could compare it to the pandemic that is happening now, right? So somebody's going to get sick anyway, right? But we just need to somehow contain the information, because some people are going to get scammed anyway, because we've seen scams in Forex and binary option industries years ago, right? But then the industry matured, and then now you don't really have that many scandals going on. So in my opinion, just a bit of a leap of faith from everyone, both companies, like massive ad tech providers, and also just general public.
Okay.
Can I say real quick?
Yeah, go on. I was gonna come to you anyway. Go on.
Thanks, Slava. Just on the topic of eToro, they do have crypto in their portfolio for Forex as well, but they just depending on regions where they operate, it's offered or not offered to the users. So the thing about eToro is they are a big advertiser on platforms like Facebook and YouTube. So they're a big business. So these are independent technocracy companies that it's all about money. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about money. So they decide who gets censored and who doesn't. Just want to say that.
I cannot comment on that, but you know, stats show, yes. And to be honest, there are some companies besides Cointraffic that helping out, you know, smaller crypto companies, and some of them actually do have the money. And as you mentioned, Casey, you also help high risk risk clients like gaming, for instance. Gaming is also sometimes perceived as not, I wouldn't say as an entertainment industry, how usually gaming companies say, right? You get entertained, and that's why you leave a certain margin, to the casino or to the whatever.
It's how they position themselves.
Yes, it's how they position themselves, right? And some people enjoy it. Some people, of course, again, have issues, have gambling problems, for instance. But I think same as with alcohol, government managed to introduce a regulation that protects the most vulnerable people, right? While allowing others who can, somehow control themselves or are still unidentified people with problems who can still enjoy themselves. And that's probably something that we need, we need in crypto as well.
Totally agree.
Okay. Casey, maybe I wanted to ask you something about, the payment industry.
Okay.
I mean, what with the pandemic and how the big stimulus that we saw the government has put into economies, we are seeing that the value of money is globally eroding, right? So the government has got the opportunity the banks actually to print money, so there isn't a fixed supply. Money can be printed whatever, and then we have got the problem about that the money value is going to go down, and maybe the world is poised actually to be disrupted by a different system, a system that is using digital money and is implementing blockchain and is using different kind of payment. They are also tackling another point. They are giving financial inclusion and banking the unbanked, because as you know better than me, having a mobile phone, you can, and the right app, you can send money to somebody else without having a bank account.
Absolutely.
And that is probably what is there to help the world to change in order to disrupt for the better, because we are not talking about only the rich getting richer. We are trying to see a better world where everybody has got equal opportunities. So up to you. Tell us, how do you see this?
Okay, so basically, just back on payments, because my background is mainly in payments and finance. One of the biggest challenges introducing any new type of payment or new technology in payments is buyer behavior, because we're all people of habits, right? So for example, now something that's taken that people have been starting to adopt is PayWave and PayPass. This is technology from 20 years ago. Visa and MasterCard have been putting in millions and millions of dollars of marketing to get people to change their behavior of payment. So it's a very big hurdle to cross over, to try to change us humans as habitual animals in terms of how we pay, from cash to like using your card, and then from card to using something in the blockchain that most people out there still do not comprehend what exactly is blockchain, what exactly is cryptocurrency. So there is a big hurdle to cross over for mass adoption. But what you say is true, Stefania. With the recent COVID-19 and many countries doing massive stimulus packages, they're printing a lot of money, pumping it into the economy. What's going to happen is you find that most of these countries, the production level never increased. In fact, the production level dropped. So you got lots more money is circulating in the economy, going after much less products and services that are in the market. So you're going to find possibly an inflation type of situation coming, and perhaps, hopefully, people will be able to protect the value of their money by going into alternative types of storage of value, like Bitcoin or even gold, for example. Because usually when the government, when the central bank prints more money, is the people who have savings, the ones who are holding a lot of money, they're the ones who suffer, because the value of the cash that they hold, whether it's in the bank or under the mattress, those are the ones that drop in value a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully we are going to all head into that direction. Dean, I have got a question from you from one of the watchers, and is there a possibility to create a YouTube style website which is adapted on blockchain? I mean, you advise companies, so
Yes.
is that something that is possible, and
Yes.
how do you see that being done?
Yes, it is possible, and I have already done one some kind of I was supervisor of one wake up network. That is some kind of a based YouTube style website and social network in the background. The hybrid blockchain should be used because if you want to use something like a YouTube style, you need a large amount, or a big amount of data in the background, and streaming different structured and non-structured data formats. And in that case, you need a private blockchain in the background, and for the identity management and for the user side, you need a public blockchain. Therefore, you have to mix those two blockchain technologies, and it is possible. I can share a sample of that network that is already in the production.
Okay, that's very good. Do you have any reference or anything that our viewers can go and look at?
Yes, it's a wake up zone. Wake up zone, just simple wake up zone social network. It's based on the blockchain, and the identity management also based on the blockchain in the background.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, Ricky, I wanted to come back to you talking about these digital assets, because I think one of the things that blockchain is able to disrupt is also the ownership of digital assets, and that it comes very important when we are talking about trading. So how do you see that the whole system being disrupted by this new system, and how do you think it's going to happen? Because we are still stuck with the old system and the old trading system, where actually there is a new set of assets, or an evolution, let's call it like that, of digital assets that has got a better, a more transparent, and also a better way to be transferred as well.
I actually feel like honestly, it's already happening. I feel that when you look at, like I said, the way that the world is currently going, especially with the pandemic, I feel like the pandemic kind of opened the doors for digital assets in a sense, because when you have a lot of people who's trying to get stimulus packets, and you have a global crisis that just came out of nowhere, and it froze the whole world. It didn't just affect the U.S., it affected everywhere. So I feel that a lot of people are looking into other methods. And also when you have, even here in the States, you know, our governors and regulators, they're constantly printing money. So when you're constantly printing money, it devalues your current currency now, and the current way that money works now. So that just opens up the doors more for digital assets to be adopted. Because if you have a dollar that's not worth anything because of, you know, it keeps being printed out of thin air, it devalues that currency. And like I say, that opens up doors for these new digital assets. When you have things like Bitcoin, it's on a structured system, and you have like 7.5 billion people in the world, but you only have like 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be mined ever. So that brings tremendous, it's like a new wave for new digital assets to kind of have this thrive, especially when you have things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other great projects that's now coming out into the space, that's providing real use cases. I feel like the way that these assets are gonna basically disrupt and be adopted is by basically taking by basically building a digital asset for a real use case that's being used today. When you look at things like the financial world, energy, these are like key components to to disrupting and changing the way that money is basically being presented. And I feel that at the rate that we're currently going, it's already happening. I feel that digital assets are already, making its toll. I mean, even when you look at Bitcoin, it's been here for over a decade, and it's only getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I feel that it's just timing. I feel that's the only thing of basically taking digital assets and putting it onto a major global scale. It's just the timing of it. But I feel like we're so early in the early phases of it. It's just like how in the beginning of the internet, I feel that's exactly where we are with digital assets. It's the beginning when they presented the internet, and people was probably like, these people are crazy. But the internet became the new where, just like how we are now. We're able to talk to each other across the world because of the internet, and the internet revolutionized everything. And I feel digital assets and in crypto and blockchain is going to do the same.
Yeah, I think that is a good point. And maybe we need to kind of have a government or a big player out there, let's call it like that, a big institution that is actually taking on board that and is rolling out to the mass. Because I agree on the fact it's happening now, but it might need to have somebody that is already well established out there to make the big step forward to institutionalize, if you want to call it like that. What's your views on that?
I feel when it comes down to basically big companies are people who's already basically currently running the current system. I feel like it's a lot of contradicting, honestly, because even been in the States, I feel that a lot of the big players, big banks, they're already involved. But I feel like they know that crypto and they know that blockchain is basically the new solution, especially with the old system. The old system's broken. So in order to fix that, you have to have a solution to the problem. And I feel that there's the only real great solution that you can have is basically adapting and taking blockchain and crypto and digital assets and basically implementing that into your current system. That's how you basically are able to kind of keep up. Because if a lot of big wigs don't implement blockchain and digital assets, it's kind of like getting left behind. Like I say, we live in a new digital world now. Everything is kind of becoming, the internet has a lot of power within all communication. When you look at from social media to even how finances are, I feel that you have these new financial companies like Cash App, where if I want to send you money, I can send it to you right away through Cash App. But with blockchain, it's even more of a more laid out structured system because it's more peer to peer. There's no third party entity that's really involved with that. So I feel like a lot of these bigger institutions they're already adapting into it. I feel like it's just a matter of time of them releasing the statements of them presenting it out. But I feel like they definitely testing these systems, definitely.
Casey, what do you see being the situation in Asia? I mean, do you see maybe the government, the big institution, taking a little bit more a proactive approach into that, or you think it's something that is going to be led by the startup and entrepreneurs?
Sorry, you were breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, I just ask, how do you see the situation in Asia? Do you see there are the big institution, the government that is kind of embracing the blockchain revolution, or you think it's still down to small projects, startup, they are kind of pushing their way out there?
Well, I think personally, my opinion is that Asians are more in terms of Asia's a big continent.
Yeah, obviously.
Countries here, but they are faster to adopt depending on which countries you're talking about. But I kind of want to add up on top of what Ricky just said in terms of blockchain and in terms of, let's say, cryptocurrency as a currency, right? In terms of blockchain, there are banks already using blockchain If I'm not mistaken, there are about 118 banks on RippleNet. They're using this for remittance purposes. Obviously, it's not a token; it's just for reconciliation purposes. So the blockchain technology is already being adopted by banks and governments as well, depending where you are. Like I heard a lot of things about Estonia. They're just adopting all kinds of new tech over there. So, but yeah, they will adopt the technology. But when it comes to, let's say, cryptocurrency as a currency, that's a different story because money has a lot of politics tied to it. There's if you look at money and the history of money, there's always been um, as control, almost a control mechanism for governments. There's no way, in my opinion, there's no way any governments would allow a form of currency to be adopted in a country that they cannot control.
Exactly.
So that is the dilemma. But of course, if everyone were to adopt Bitcoin and stop using whichever fiat currency they're in, that fiat currency it's gone, right? It will disappear. But so yeah, governments, they definitely are afraid of it's people using cryptocurrency because they have no control over it. They will have policies and regulations to try to control it, but there's only so much they can do. Because traditionally, when it comes to technology and regulations, it's usually technology will get there first, and regulations try to catch up.
Yeah. On that point, Casey, what about emerging market? Because emerging market is where the traditional institution they have less power because is there less established, there is more corruption, and so there is kind of like more freedom and for this country to leapfrog using technology.
Absolutely. But there's also still a lot of politics in play. So let's say, for example, near to Malaysia, where I am, as Cambodia, they have their own Cambodian dollars. I can't remember what's it called, but predominantly people use US dollars over there. So, like for example, China is coming up with their own cryptocurrency, which will be, I guess, to replace the CNY. They will most likely replace cash because you hardly see cash in China nowadays. But apart from that, I don't really see any other country like just giving up their sovereign, monetary system for cryptocurrency.
Dean, I want to go to come back to you because obviously you are based in Europe, and we work with you work with many companies within within this geopolitical geography. How do you see the implementation of cryptocurrency in Europe, particularly considering the situation of the euro as well, which is not the best at the moment?
Yes, I would like to say first depends on the to be followed on the previous talks for the colleagues here. I agree with everything that they said. There is still one more point, not only in Asia or any kind of the world. It's about government systems and public sector. There's still a gap between those two parts. Most of the local governments and the public sectors worldwide really on age-old methods and systems for all of their processes which are slow, expensive, and make room for corruption. Therefore, centralized system makes room for a lot of abuse and the corruption from inside. This can result in increased distrust between the government and its people. And therefore, we came to the problem of implementing digital currency at all, not only a cryptocurrency or some kind of a crypto value or a crypto world. First of all, the blockchain-based government model should be allowed to the business and allow new models not only to copy paste the existing processes that we have in the financial world. Most of the companies and the startups and also the banks putting some crypto on the market are just doing copy-pasting of existing process into the blockchain or a distributed ledger. We have to go a step forward, a step on, not a step back, just implementing a new technology on the old way. There is a still leakage between knowledge and implementation. We have to share knowledge more and more, and the community that should use, especially in the European market, crypto as a value, as a method of payment, or any kind of transaction between the parties, should establish a new community way between the speculators and supporters. We have still division between supporters of a new technology, in this case blockchain and distributed ledger, and the speculators that still not believe in the blockchain and the implementation of new way decentralized systems. No matter how much we will talk about the immutability, transparency, against abusing thefts, and so on and so on. There is a still gap between knowledge and implementation. We have to share knowledge.
Dean, on that point, I just would like Slava, and then Casey quickly to add something about education. Maybe Casey, you want to be quick, just
a quick one. Just a quick one. Dean, I couldn't agree more with what you just said. But in the age that we're living in right now, there's so much misinformation, disinformation, and fake news. I hope blockchain can provide a solution to stop all this so that the knowledge can be shared and it's not diluted.
Yeah, Slava, do you want to say a few words about the importance of education?
Yes, actually, I'm probably going to be a bit controversial, but I'm going to say how much blockchain do you want to implement. So if we see blockchain as the ultimate source of truth in terms of it's either yes or no binary on blockchain, and I think that's not how humans are. We still want to keep certain secrets. It's a part of our habits and games. So if maybe you guys could answer for yourselves or share, how far would you like to go in terms of blockchain implementation with like 0, let's say, being where we are now, and 10, like blockchain is everywhere, and everything is transparent. So we know everything where, let's say, money went or something went. I myself am probably somewhere at a 6 or a 5, to be honest.
Okay, that's good. Casey, do you have anything to add, Ricky?
Well, I think the market will always find a way, blockchain or no blockchain. So regardless, for me, it's going to be like 5 or 6 anyways, because the market will find a way eventually.
Yeah, Ricky, do you have anything else to add? We have only 2 minutes left, so
yeah, I feel like everybody actually hit it on the nose, took the words out of my mouth. I would agree. Like I say, education when it comes down to this space, the more people educate themselves on digital assets, blockchain, crypto, like I say, this bridges the gaps and brings trust between governments and also its people. Just like Dean said, the more educated people are, the more you will see this become more of a mass adoption. I feel that, it's taking its time because a lot of people is not educated, but as more people start to educate themselves, and like I say, the good thing about this pandemic, it kind of forced people to actually look into understanding what is Bitcoin and what is blockchain. So, people understand that, sometimes you can't really depend on your government. You got to kind of look at other options. So I feel like, this is a great thing, and it's brought the education actually to the people today. So.
Okay, Ricky, thank you so much. Thank you so much for everybody. We are almost done, and really was a really good panel. And then let's see how things are evolving, and surely the blockchain and also cryptocurrency are going to play a big part in today's world for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Pleasure, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.